All right, Israel, Most High Christ bless your body.
Most High Christ bless you too.
All right. So we're gonna finish where we left off at dedication of the altar. This will be part 2. So we're gonna open up in 1 John chapter 2. Verse 16.
This is 1 John chapter 2 and verse 16. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life.
Right. So what brought these atrocities upon us? The scriptures say the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. So you have to go the other way. So when it comes to things that we're supposed to do, as far as how we worship the Father, we have to worship the Father according to the Bible, according to the Scriptures, and not according to the things that our eyes lust after, because that's what's going to bring the destruction upon us. It has always did that, and it will continue to do it. It'll continue to do it. So when the scriptures say that's what's in this world, you can't love this world. Okay? I give you an example. Today our people, the Israelites, they commemorated the destruction and genocide of their own people. A lot of them, a lot of them don't know, and a lot of them do know. I think the thing about that they don't know is how closely related they are to the people that is indigenous to this land. The Lord gave this to our brothers. Okay, so in giving it to them, nobody was supposed to come and remove that landmark, remove the boundary that the Most High have set up. And so, go to Proverbs, I'll show you that. Proverbs chapter 22. So as I was saying, a lot of people, they don't know. And because they don't know, a lot of brothers and sisters, that's in the conscious community. It's Proverbs 22 and 28. A lot of brothers and sisters that's in the conscious community, the first thing that, a lot of them you want to do is frown upon them, talk about them, say this, say that. Well, I refuse to give it attention. You can correct a situation, but you can't correct everybody on the face of the earth. Neither can you go around, with your, what they say, your panties in a bunch. If your jaw is stuck up your butt, that hurts. You understand? It's irritated, make you irritated. You can't walk around agitated, inflamed, and irritated because of the way things are. Oppression do make them, a wise man mad, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I ain't saying blah, blah to the scripture, I'm saying blah, blah to you. Because with all the understanding that you get, or with the wisdom that you get, you got to get understanding. So if the Lord said not to speak evil of people, we can't speak evil of somebody. Now, the best thing you can do is correct them. You know, if you know them, keep it moving. So I'll give you an example. You know, remember when we ate the turkey? Yeah. So you brothers, remember when we watched Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving Sunday? You know, you cheering for Tony Dorsett. You cheering for Emmitt Smith. After you know, filled your belly. You was flat in ignorance. You didn't know. But as a child, you grew up and you knew about cowboys and Indians. You knew about pilgrims and Indians. You knew that, you know, that they did something. But what you did not know is that these people were your direct lineage. They didn't know that they're your blood. These people are our blood. Straight up. The blood that runs through you runs through them. Don't worry about complexion and how they look, facial features and stuff like that. You know, we had a strong, dominant rock whose name was Jacob. And the Lord made God to make him a prince. And gave him power with him, man. And he had his sons. And all them sons, they're brothers. That's thicker than anything. That bond right there is stronger than the bond that we have in America of fornication. Oh, we got the same mother. Okay. Because y'all come out the same loins, y'all have the same blood, man. Y'all have the same blood. So those indigenous people, lineage, man. And to kill them is an act of war. That was an act of war. That is so disrespectful. But we didn't know that then. And so people today, they don't know that. So how do you deal with the situation? If they brush shoulders, correct your people and say, hey, this was not supposed to be done. So I'll take you to the precept in Proverbs chapter 22 and 28 to show you that it's a law that's written in the Bible that wasn't supposed to do that. Read that.
This is Proverbs 22 and 28. Remove not the ancient landmark.
Remove not the ancient landmark. Who made that landmark? The Most High set that thing up. And it was set up of old. Does it matter? Because it was in the 12th, 13th, 14th century. Doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't matter. He said no. Go ahead, read it again.
This is Proverbs chapter 22 and 28. Remove not the ancient landmark which thy fathers have set.
Right, which our fathers have set. Meaning, they established when the Father, the Most High, gave them an opportunity to. They set themselves up through the Spirit of the Most High in Christ. Remove not the ancient landmark. Now go to Deuteronomy chapter 32. It should be verse 8, right?
Yes. This is Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 8. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel.
Wait a second. Listen to that again. Listen to that very closely. Listen to what the Father, the Most High did. Okay? Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 8. When the Most High divided, not put together. See, the nations, they put things together for captivity, free labor, for slavery, for oppression. But God divided. So now we're supposed to come back and we're supposed to bring in division. Don't let nobody tell you nothing different. You're supposed to come out from among these people and be separate. Even though you live in this captivity, you got to come out from among them and you have to be separate. You have to stop following them. You can't have that love of the world, because the love of the world, that's not love for you. That's not beneficial to you. That you disobeying the Most High. I hope y'all paying attention. He divided. So we're at Genesis chapter 32 and 8. This is distracted. When he divided the nations, their inheritance. So that means everywhere he wanted people to stay, he said, go live there. He ushered you into that place that he wanted you to be. Go usher and you be there. Okay? So now, go ahead. When he what?
When he divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel.
Right. So the way that he had things set up, Israel went first. Israel went first. And everybody had a place to live, man. So you tell me, how in the heck does one nation of people on the face of the earth, and now everyone has to pay them, when God himself gave everyone an inheritance? And he chose Israel first, because he said, Israel is my portion, for the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob, meaning Israel, is the lot of his inheritance. Okay? I think that was one. Genesis 36. Genesis chapter 36 and verse 6. Read that.
This is the book of Genesis chapter 36 and verse 6. And Esau took his wives and his sons and his daughters and all the persons of his house and his cattle and all his beasts and all his substance which he had got in the land of Canaan, and went into the country from the face of his brother Jacob. For their riches were more than that they might dwell together. And the land wherein they were strangers could not bear them because of their cattle. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom.
Right. So what did he do? He went from the face of his brother and he dwelt in Mount Seir. Because that's where the Most High ushered him to. Okay? His place of dwelling is Mount Seir. Not the Caribbean islands, not North Americas, not Israel, but Mount Seir. That's his place to dwell, and that's where he's supposed to be at. So coming to take this place, that's what he shouldn't have did. Okay? Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 35, and wow. This is pretty- this is just showing you who took these countries and it just shows you. Ezekiel chapter 35, and I'll read it and give it to you. Verse 1. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. So we learn who Mount Seir is, right? Edom. Okay? Verse 7, read that.
Verse 7. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth. And I will fill his mountains with his slain men, in thy hills and in thy valleys, and in all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword.
So that's war. What did the Father say he's going to do to Mount Seir? Who's Mount Seir? Edom. He said he's going to fill, it's going to come a point and a time when there are going to be dead bodies of Edomites everywhere. Remember, so it says with the sword. Israel, we don't have the type of sword. We don't have this type of weaponry. So it's going to come through war. They're going to lose. He said their slain men are going to be in hills. They're going to be in valleys. They're going to be floating down the river. It's going to be dead bodies in the water. They shall fall that are slain. Verse 9.
I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy cities shall not return.
Right. That goes with the prophecy in Isaiah 14 chapter, in Obadiah. He's not going to fill the face of cities anymore. They're not going to rise. He's going to take away the name. They're going to be forever destroyed, and their cities shall not return. And they shall know that I am the Lord. Okay? Verse 10. Check this out.
Because thou hast said, these two nations.
These two nations. What nations are those? That's the kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Israel under the top nation of Ephraim. So all the tribes that are scattered throughout what they call Central Americas and the Isles of the Sea, and the ones that they came here into this land. They said, oh, these people belong to me. We read the law that told you that they wasn't supposed to remove the landmark. God gave you what he gave you. He gave you Mount Seir. And then also you completely destroy what we call the southern kingdom of Israel, meaning the kingdom of Judah. You so-called African Americans and West Indies, okay? Which we believe were Benjamin and Judah, okay? So you have said, these two nations, go ahead.
And these two countries.
And these two countries. What country? The country of Jerusalem, and also this country here. So you took that. Who took that? Mount Seir. But who does Mount Seir look like today? You see them in the face. Who took that country and took this country? That shows you who Edom is. That shows you who Mount Seir is. That lines up with the scriptures. You said these two countries are mine. Go ahead.
And we will possess it, whereas the Lord was there.
So the Lord was with these people, even in our chastisement. Like David said, if we make our bed in hell, you're still there. He's still there. Okay? So, when it comes, they shouldn't have did that. So these are just some of the brief things that, you can explain to your people without taking it personal against them. Without them feeling disrespected, without you being overly offended, just come out and show them the scriptures. It's not supposed to be like that. Okay, another good chapter we're gonna go get it was Lamentations, the 5th chapter. Jeremiah was prophesying the downfall of the people and what they would see and what they would go through, things like that. Okay? So So the scriptures say, you know, don't love this world. Don't let something like pagan holidays and food separate you from the love of the Most High. Okay? Scripture said, what shall separate, Romans 8, what gonna separate you from the love of God? Is Thanksgiving gonna separate you? Because the Lord said, don't love the world. Then you got the next thing that's gonna be coming and popping up. Oh God, who's that? Christmas? That's gonna be coming and popping up. All that is just exploitation of captivity. You know, don't love that. You, each and every last one of you should know what we should be doing. We should be preparing for the feast of dedication of the altar. When the Most High did something for us. Everybody wants to see equality. Everybody wants to see equity. That's the spirit of being fair. Well, that's what the Most High did. He set things straight. He moved and pushed these people back up off of you. And you were able to breathe. You were able to live. You were able to live in peace. He did that. So you're supposed to be celebrating that. So those you Israelites that's out there that know, don't spend your time being mad and offended. Remember, 2/3 is a lot of people. 2/3. So 2/3 of our people, they're gonna walk around, and whether they, you know, in some slight form of drowsiness or they appearance or whatever, don't let that phase you. Don't let that phase you. Because when you tell them, hey, you know what they did to the indigenous, to the natives? Yeah, I know. But they still gonna carry on, they still gonna do what they're gonna do. Whose salvation are you working out? Who you trying to keep in the spirit? You, or you trying to keep them in the spirit? They already made their choice. So because they have made their choice, and now you have got a choice to make, the thing that you're supposed to be doing is what? You're supposed to be preparing for this dedication of the altar, man. First, you're supposed to learn, because we know some of the details that pertain to the things that we used to celebrate and we used to be such involved in. You know, we knew that they came over here on ships. We knew they had the little plastic patent leather shoes on with the bow on the top, on the front of it. We knew they had stockings up under it. You understand? We knew they came with subtlety. They came trying to be all friendly and everything. They couldn't survive. So they looked, you know, our people helped them out. I wish they would have just firebombed their boats every time one comes close. Boom! Like, damn. You know what I'm saying? Every time we get close, we can't even talk to them jokers. We getting bombed on. Wish they had did that, man. Just firebomb. They had vantage point, man. Hit them from the mountains, man, with the bows on fire. Just light them up. We already know what y'all coming for. Light y'all up. Dang. But they didn't do that because it wasn't the Lord's will, man. Shalom, bro. You know, do we know that they came and tricked them, gave them diseases, blankets with smallpox, diseases that they created and our people couldn't recover from because they didn't have no cure for it. So we know they did us dirty like that. But now, since we know all of those things, and we know that those people know it, and we know it, are we gonna just continue to press their buttons and worry about pig intestines that they chose to eat. You eating chitlins. You eating this. You eating that. Or we gonna get down to business and show the Lord that we sorry, man. Forever leaving his side. Well, we gonna get down to business and show the Lord that we truly sorry and that we are ashamed. Look at what this have got. You conscious Israelites, God said that you are, get that man for them. Exodus. Listen to what he said. Man, we gotta show that we're sorry. Now, Exodus 19. Exodus 19, verse 5. Listen, this is why we have, we need to be like, I'm sorry. We need to be apologetic.
This is Exodus chapter 19 and 5. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me.
Wait a second. A treasure to God? The Creator? Whom he owns everything. So how could something truly be truly special to him, a peculiar treasure? That means in his eyesight, he would look upon us with respect. He'd be happy. Yeah, he would be happy. He called us a treasure. Go ahead.
Unto me above all people.
Above all people. So now that we have these smarts on how we're supposed to be, Israel, we're supposed to be sorry. Forever leaving his side. Us minus him, that's a lonely sight right there. That's a terrible sight. Because look what it got us. So now, with us feeling the way that we ought to feel, what's the next thing we need to be doing? We need to be trying to seek him 10 times harder. And so if we're gonna seek him 10 times harder, then what do you think we need to be doing? We need to be learning of him. How many opportunities? So now we got the Feast of Dedication coming up. How many times in a year do we get to do that thing? One time. So whatever we don't get accomplished this year, if war don't break out and Christ don't come, we'll get a chance to do it next year. But we have to put our spirit into it. So we're gonna leave the rest of the stuff alone. Let them people learn. Let them catch up to where we are. As a matter of fact, let them wonder like, hey, what are y'all dressed up for? Hey, what is that noise I'm hearing? What is that smoke in the air? Y'all cook like that? Why y'all celebrating like that? Why y'all coming together? Why is there so many of y'all? Why are y'all so loud with cheering and joy and happiness? What are y'all celebrating? What does this mean? And then once you break out and you tell them the history, that's why when we go through the scripture, you got to pay attention to the history. You know about the history of why they're celebrating it. They destroyed our people. We actually keeping that alive. We're supposed to dead in that like it was nothing. Like, hell, we know this means nothing. It means something to you because you got that off on us. But now we're smart. But we have to revive this. We got to bring this to life. And that's why you brothers and sisters, y'all got to keep this with all your strength and with all your might. And when it comes to days like this, you have to save, man. You have to save your money to keep the days. If the scriptures say 8 days, we go 8 days. We don't go 1 day and then that's it. Yeah, we know, yeah, it was 8 days. Yeah, they still say 8 days, but yeah, you know, we had came together. You know? We go every day, we go hard every day. Every single day. Now, I wish we could do more. Shit, well, I don't ever want to stop. And keep going. So y'all got to put y'all, you know, you got to put your spirit in it because the Lord said we are a treasure unto him. Read the next verse.
Verse 6. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests.
Right. And we're going to be unto him a kingdom of priests. Priest, man, we're supposed to know it all. Supposed to know a lot. Go ahead.
And an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel.
This is what we're supposed to tell y'all. That all the men, you're supposed to be a kingdom of priests, and the whole complete nation, every person alive that's in Yasha Allah is supposed to be holy. What's holy? A lawful person. A lawful person. That's why we have to teach one another what's lawful. And those of you that don't want to act right, you don't want to be full of the law and full of the spirit, and the Most High gonna take you out. Because you have become a bad example. And a lot of you don't even know or realize that we actually supposed to be hoping to be rid of evil men. Right. Just get rid of these guys. Get rid of this woman. Get rid of these people. Okay? You know what I'm looking for? Yeah, it ain't. Because it cannot be reasoned with. It can't be reasoned with, nor negotiated with, neither will they change. 2 Thessalonians 3. And another thing, I know some of you don't know and understand that how important it is to keep these high holy days. Yeah, how important it is to keep these high holy days. But you're supposed to travel. Y'all supposed to travel out there, man. Keep the high holy days. What do you think was happening? What do you think was happening in Acts the 2nd chapter? What do you think was happening in Isaiah the 11th chapter? Isaiah was prophesying that the Most High would deal with his people. Yeah. So things happen when you travel. Things you learn when you travel, man. You learn. You see things that you can't see in the comfort of your own house. See, these universal pagan days that they created for you to celebrate, you could do that. You bring the idol to you. But God knows that he had accounted that he has set the bounds of Israel very big. And therefore, he said that Israel, he made a law that you would have to come back up to serve him. And that's why they came back up and they received that blessing of seeing that miracle, the wonderful works of God. To see somebody, that would be just like something happened to one of y'all. Meaning, the spirit entered into you and now you can speak and do things that you wasn't able to speak and do before. But I would miss that if I didn't come. You understand? I would miss that. I may even be able to get the same blessing because I showed up. You see? So Israel, you can't sit back all the time if you don't have a congregation, or if you don't have somebody else. Some of you are in families to where the whole family is wicked. And you sitting there learning the scriptures, and you can't, and you can't feel that spirit of brotherly love, the unity of sisterly love, the spirit of holy convocation. You can't feel it, but you desire it. You hear it, but it's like hard to feel. That's why God got wrote in the scriptures that it was mandatory for feast days. Big feast days, we would have come up. Okay? That's whole Thessalonians, and we'll come right back here. Deuteronomy 16. Deuteronomy chapter 16. And verse 16.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 16 and 16. 3 times in a year shall all thy males appear before the Lord thy God.
You see that? 3 times in a year shall all the males. Now check this out. Some of you sisters might think that, well, that excludes me. No, it doesn't. Because you go where he go. Y'all want flesh, you go where he go. He ain't going to commit sin. He going to serve the Lord. You go where he go. Didn't Mary go with Joseph and take their child to Christ? Of course they did. She went where he went and took her children with her. She had more than one child. Took her children with her. It's saying it like this because it's letting the man know. I'm talking to you, old man. You the head of the house. So you make sure that you do this thing. Brother sitting back, the feast day come and go, he working on his car. Come on, man, what is this? Oh, the way that this and this and this can't be like that. Never gonna learn like that. 3 times a year shall all males appear before the Lord thy God. Go ahead.
In the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread,
Right, that Passover.
in the feast of the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles.
Yeah, let me talk. Feast of Weeks, that's the Pentecost. So now, why do you think they received that blessing? Because they was keeping that law. Those that was deadbeat, right, didn't show up, they missed out on those wonderful works. Now, what if you were super zealous and you came early? Who would you have thought that?
Grace.
That's right. You the son of the Lord. If you were super zealous and you showed up early, you'd have saw your house shot. You'd have been there to get your feelings hurt and everything. Saw him putting to death and be like, oh no, what are y'all doing? This is him. This is the one. Come on. But that's okay. When we know better, we do better. So y'all stop complaining and whining and making all these excuses. If you got to save all year to make it to a feast day, you got to save all year. I save for the stuff that I want to do. I go hungry, I go thirsty. To save so I can do what I want to do. Then when I get it, brother, like, how you do that, man? You rich. No, get out of here. Shit, I ain't rich. I've been saving. I ain't stupid. I wanted something. Every time you get something in your pocket, your money burn your pocket. You got to save to get what you want. So you want to come to a feast days, you're going to have to save. The Feast of Weeks and Tabernacles, go ahead.
And they shall not appear before the Lord empty.
Right, you ain't supposed to show up empty. I mean, you're supposed to help out. Then they would go and they would take sacrifices. But now the Lord knows we're in oppression, so we coming from all over. Everybody show up empty, what we gonna eat and drink? You get what I'm saying? So you can't do that. Go ahead.
Verse 17. Every man shall give as he is able.
Right, every man shall give as he is able. You able, brother? Good. If you ain't, I tell the brother, if you can't, brother, don't feel no shame. You can't. If you ain't able, you're not able. If you are able, make it happen, Captain. We trying to put this together. We trying to do this. Go ahead.
According to the blessing of the Lord thy God, which he had given thee.
Right. Do it according to the Most High, based upon what he gave you. Make these feast days happen. You Israelites out there, make them happen. Come together. Keep the feast days of the Lord. Plan. Okay? So, let's go to, but we'll get our Thessalonians, then we're going to try and get in real quick. Of course.
So, just a quick point on why the feast days is so important. Because of Thanksgiving, right? What are we reading about now? Dedication of the altar. So what happened during the dedication of the altar? What we read so far.
One said,
So far, what we read. Who came into Jerusalem? Esau, right? How did he come? How did he come in the beginning?
Let's see if he knows. Boats? No, not that.
His mannerism, how did he come?
Okay, so he came,
Peaceable,
peaceful,
right?
Yeah.
So now, if Israel, the Native American Indians who was Israel, would have been keeping in remembrance the dedication of the altar in their time, they would have seen the same man, because Esau has been the same man from the beginning. And they'd have saw him come how?
Peaceful.
And they would remember, if they'd have remembered the dedication of the altar, they would have remembered that this has happened before. This same man come peaceable, he's trying to do something. So because if we don't remember to continue to teach the feast days.
Do y'all hear what he just said? I bet that went over all of y'all head. Are you listening? Did you hear what he just said? What he say? Yahweh. Who heard it? Wow. Beautiful point, brother. Beautiful point. Wow. Let me see. Who else said they heard it? Shy.
He said,
Nice a lot.
he said if they had been keeping the dedication of the altar,
Right.
they would have understood and saw that the same man who came before is here again.
Hey, that's right. That's right. They would have saw that. Isn't it true?
Yeah.
Because if we're keeping it, and we know that he's subject to come subtile, right? And come peaceable, because we're keeping it, right? And we keep knowing that never trust the enemy, right? So if he comes some type of way, we know, hey, we got to always have eyes on him. And we can give him nothing, because you give him you give him a 30-second, what is it, 100th?
Yeah.
That's the tiniest thing.
Yeah.
100th, he gonna take the country. I'm sorry, go ahead, now.
Right, no, so that's why I was just saying, that's why it's so important that we continue to keep the feast and then teach. Because everything being an example to us that may even happen in the future. They didn't even understand. This happened to them all because they wasn't keeping the feast and keeping it in remembrance. history straight repeated itself with them. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we likewise got to continue to teach and keep the feast so that we can keep in remembrance how to deal in the earth and what to look out for. So,
Right. Who saw that? Who heard it like that the first time? Y'all heard it? Okay, good. Okay, so I mean, remember that. Yeah, remember that. So now, you know, I ain't gonna run with it. Okay. So 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, verse 1.
this is 2 Thessalonians chapter 3 and 1. Finally, brethren, pray for us, that the word of the Lord may have free course, and be glorified even as it is with you, and that we may be delivered from unreasonable and wicked men.
You see that? So you could pray to be delivered from unreasonable, absurd. This is absurd. Look at this behavior. And also wickedness. Okay? Wickedness. So hey, Israel, you have a choice. Either you're going to be righteous or you're going to be wicked. If you are going to be wicked, prayers are in the air, and God hears prayers for you to be removed. We don't want to see anybody removed. We want to see you actually repent. The worst person. My enemies, an enemy would be somebody that's an adversary. Somebody that's, despite good doings towards them, they do the opposite, intentional to try and bring harm. I pray that they repent. Because with a different mindset in that brain of theirs, under a different spirit, they will be acceptable. They'll be somebody good. So that's what we pray for. So either if you're going to be good, then be good. But if you're going to continue to hold progress up, then just be wicked. I'm not telling anybody to be wicked. You got to make the decision. You got to make the choice. You cannot linger around in limbo wondering which way do you go. You're supposed to go the correct way. Okay? So, let's go back to 1 Maccabees 1. First Maccabees 1, and this is what Antiochus did concerning the Israelites. I'll read it and give it to you. First Maccabees 1 and 47. One and 41, I'm sorry. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be what? One people. So despite the father separating Israel, and everyone should leave his laws, so all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king, yet many also of the Israelites consented to his religion. So while there was religion in existence, there's also culture. That's our culture. Our culture meaning our customs, our ways, our quality of life. It has nothing to do with religion. So when people are like, well, what religion you is? I want you to tell them it ain't Antiochus. It ain't his. Huh?
Yes, sir.
It ain't his. We don't have a religion. We have laws. And consented and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. Was that for the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, meaning that they should get on board, that they should be part of religion. So now that everybody is doing that, these religious, they come with all these pagan days. You can't do that. You got to do what's for you, and that all these nations do what's, what they do. Okay? It says, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice. So that has to do with your learning. Excuse me, Salakia. That has to do with turning you from sin. Okay? And drink offerings in the temple. And that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days, meaning feast days. So stop doing your feast days, and that's exactly what Israel is doing. They're not keeping dedication of the altar. They're not keeping Nicanor, Day of Simon, Purim. They're not keeping Passover and Pentecost. So where'd they get that from? We're reading it. Greek customs that forbid you. So now we have to turn our lives and our country and our nation, we have to turn them right side up. How? By being countrymen.
Right.
Men about your country. By being country women. Women about your country. How do you be a person that's about your country? By standing up for your laws and standing up for these ways. And making these days of importance. This is important. I have to do this. I have to show up and I have to show out. This is about my God. You understand? To make these days a success. Because they mean something to our people. Okay? And pollute the sanctuary. So his intention, hey, the heck with that. What y'all worship, forget that. Don't pollute that sanctuary. And the holy people. They pollute the people too. Okay? That's why they don't care about what they give you to eat, what they give you to drink. They don't care. They're not concerned about that. They're not concerned about your air. They're not concerned about your hair. They're not concerned about anything. They're trying to pollute you. Read on.
Verse 47. Set up altars.
They set up new altars. Okay? Something that you could make a sacrifice. Oh, you want to sacrifice to the Yahweh power of Israel? No, don't sacrifice that. We got something you can sacrifice to. Okay? You're going to sacrifice to Jupiter or to Saturnarium or whatever his name is. And et cetera, et cetera. What is it, son?
What feast is Hanukkah?
AKA dedication of the altar. But, so it's not written, dedication of the altar is written in the scriptures.
Yeah, and Hanukkah, it's the same thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Don't let them trick you with an African tribute called Kwanzaa. That's not the same thing. So that's something totally different. Okay? So they set up altars, go ahead.
And groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation.
Hold on for a second. Second Maccabees chapter 10. Second Maccabees chapter 10 and verse 1.
This is Second Maccabees chapter 10 and verse 1. Now Maccabeus and his company, the Lord guiding them, recovered the temple and the city.
All right. So Maccabeus. So this is Judas Maccabeus. Maccabeus and his company, the Most High guiding them, recovered the temple and the city. So despite all of the ruins that they did, these things got recovered under Judas and his brethren. Go ahead.
But the altars which the heathen had built in the open street,
Right. So they were actually building up, places or altars so that, because if it was only one altar, and then you got an innumerable multitude of people that was trying to take part in these festivities, which consisted of all type of unlawful acts, lewdness, profaneness, nakedness, all different type of wickedness. Because this is a devilish spirit that jumps off, from people, person to person. So the Greeks then began to set up these altars all throughout the street. So these are not what you might want to think. Cleanness. It was great wickedness. All right. Read that from the top.
this is Second Maccabees chapter 10 and verse 2. But the altars which the heathen had built in the open street, and also the chapels they pulled down. And having cleansed the temple, they made another altar, and striking stones they took fire out of them, and offered a sacrifice after 2 years.
No, I just wanted
Okay.
the 1 and 2. But the altars which the heathen built in the open street, also the chapels they pulled down. So he went into the 3rd verse where it says they had to clean the temple. Go to the 6th chapter, Maccabees 6. Okay. And start verse 3. Second Maccabees 6 and 3.
This is Second Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 3. The coming in of this mischief was sore and grievous to the people, for the temple was filled with riot.
So now listen. So all of these things are happening. You got altars in the street. You got Judas and them trying to clean it up. But in the midst of it, the temple full of all riot. I mean, it was very noise and clamor and people doing what they want to do. Strangers on the inside of the temple. Go ahead.
And reveling by the Gentiles.
All right, reveling. You know what reveling is? Yeah, partying. Inside of the temple. Go ahead.
Who dallied with harlots.
Who dallied with harlots. Now turn it into Magic City. To turn the place of worship into like a strip club. Dallied with harlots. Go ahead.
And had to do with women within the circuit of...
And had to do with women within the circuit. Meaning right around in the midst of the temple, they were having sex. So this is how how bad things got out of hand. It turned disgusting. Go ahead.
of the holy places,
Of the holy places. Go ahead.
and besides that, brought in things that were not lawful. The altar also was filled with profane things, which the law forbidded. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep the Sabbath days, or ancient feasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew.
Okay. So now, so that's it. So now let's go back to 1 Maccabees 1. So we can see how the state is, or how out of hand, this stuff is. 1 Maccabees 1, and we will stop at
48, not 47.
47. Okay.
This is 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and 47,
Now go to 48.
verse 48.
Right.
That they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end that they might forget the law and change all the ordinances.
Exactly. So that's doesn't that sound like the Christian church today?
Yes, sir.
The laws are forgotten and all the ordinances have been changed. Okay? It's okay to do this. God loves everybody. It's okay to do that. 2 women can be lesbians and go and adopt a baby that they physically can't have. Change the laws. Okay? So the first part of this, it tells you the agenda of the Greeks. What was their agenda? Trey? What was their agenda? To have the children of Israel to forget the laws. That's what they were about. So all of the things that they got you doing now, remember how history repeats itself. And that's why in the Christian church, they fight about the law. They are well versed with how we don't have to keep the law. It's like the way that they see it is incredible. It's like, man, it doesn't matter, Jew nor Gentile. All is accepted. Everything to be received, if it be received with thanksgiving. So their whole agenda, mission accomplished. The whole agenda is to the end to get you to forget the law. Forget that you have standards and morals, and that you have a heritage, a culture, you have a lifestyle. You were solidified before these people. You are the greatest people upon the face of the earth. How could they tell you anything? When the Bible tells you never trust your enemy, that means never trust them. And anything that comes from him, the Most High moved him to do it. Don't give him credit. Oh, thank you. You're somebody that's good. No, there's nothing good about you. This action comes from our God, man, and he used you to do it. I see you for what it's worth. This transaction, and I gotta go. All right, so now, 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 51.
Verse 50.
Verse 50.
Verse 50. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. In the selfsame manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people.
Right, so if you didn't do it, there was letters. You received something in the mail saying what? That you're gonna die. Yeah, so do we realize that we are waiting for something to start popping up in the mail now out of curiosity, telling us that we're gonna have to do something? What do you think that is? That's the RFID. What's it? How you say it? RFID. Saying this is mandatory. What are you gonna do? Here, if you don't do what we tell you, you're gonna die. Now they're saying, if you don't do what we tell you do, you ain't gonna be able to what? You ain't gonna be able to buy or sell. You won't be able to buy or sell. Okay? Then it says, what is that? In the self-same manner, wrote he his whole kingdom. That means every place that he had dominion and appointed, check this out, overseers. Today, what word is that?
Officer.
Officer. That's right. And he appointed officers over all the people. So there go police presence. There go, what they call it thing? Martial law. Go ahead, commanding.
Commanded the city of Judah to sacrifice, city by city.
Commanding the people to do it city by city. So, I mean, they take this city, make sure they do it, get them on board, and then they just, like you watch, like you see a map, and then the map is just growing red. It's like everybody's doing it, everybody's doing it, everybody's doing it, everybody's doing it. That's how they roll. This is what they did then. Go ahead.
Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law.
Everybody that don't give a damn. So who are you gonna see flock to these to this Roman Greco Empire today? Who are you gonna see flock to them? 2/3. You're gonna see the majority of the people doing it. That doesn't make it right. And they're gonna say all manner of slick stuff that still doesn't make them right. They're wrong. You children in here, I want the children's attention. You see majority of the children doing the wrong thing. That does not make them right. When you go to school, pay attention, you little ones. When you're at school, look up here at me. When you're at school and you see 99% of the children participating in the things that people set up, that does not make them right. Oh, everybody's doing it. That does not make them right. They want to wear else. It's lingerie day, or what is that? Underclothes, what they call it? Pajama day. Hell, what is this? You gonna go in your sleepwear? You have a fitsy. No. They want to dress up in costume and pull a mask over their head, trick or treat. Everybody's doing it. That's not making it right. Come Christmas time, they're going to be trying to exchange gifts. He's giving him a gift, and she's giving her a gift, and you want a gift to give to somebody else. That does not make it right. They do that so that you can forget your law that tell you not to do it. That does not make it right. They are not right. They are wrong, and you are right. If you got to be the lone sheep, stand alone. Stand by yourself being right. We're going to read that part again for you. I want every child looking at that, because you are a target. Right. And they try to get you to turn against your parents. And some of you will grudge against your parents, because your parents will be telling you no, no. And you think that, oh, you just cheap. You don't want to just buy nothing for me. No, it's not that. We know what's right and what's wrong. And we're not going to teach you something that is wrong just for you to feel good. You got some lames that say, I'm doing it for the kids. No, we're not doing it for you. Okay? Read that part again. Tell us where you at.
This is First Maccabees chapter 1 and 52. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit,
Meaning, this is what we're talking about. To wit means this is what I'm talking about. So it's a finger pointed at what they're talking about. Go ahead.
every one that forsook the law.
Everybody that got with them did what with the law? Forsook the law. Forsake means I'm going to forsake something. I'm going to just leave the law. Like if you have a bicycle, pay attention. I'm talking to you too. If you have a bicycle and you just walk off and you leave it, you just forsook the bike. You just walked off and left it out there. You're like, yeah. So everybody that leaves the law is everybody that is doing what these people are doing. Christmas, Thanksgiving, talking about how the food was, breaking the Sabbath day, eating anything without any self-control. Their parents are examples of forsaking the law, and they forsake the law because they follow their parents. But you, boys and girls, you have commandment-keeping parents. And by having commandment-keeping parents, your commandment-keeping parents is showing you the truth, the life, and the way that you're supposed to go. You're not to forsake their instruction. You must listen to their instruction, and you must follow their guide and trust their word. You're not supposed to forsake what they're telling you because you see majority of the people doing it. Okay? Read on.
And so they committed evils in the land.
If you do so, you're going to be considered evil. You commit evils in the land. Even a child is known by his doings. Okay? Go ahead.
Verse 53. And drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could flee for secure. Now in the 15th day of the month, Caslu, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar.
There it is. That's the thing that Daniel was prophesying about in Daniel 11. In the 15th day of the month, Caslu, that would be what we would be calling December the 2nd. It says in the 140th and 5th year, they set up this thing. That means they put something on top of our altar. They said that, hell with what y'all doing. They just flat out disrespected you, man. They disrespected our foreparents. They set up an abomination that destroyed our altar upon the altar. Okay? Go get that in Daniel 11. Let's see. Daniel. This ain't what I want. Let's just go back. But Daniel prophesied about it, but it's not what I want. Let's go back.
So this is First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 54. Now the 15th day of the month Caslu, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar, and builded idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side, and burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law which they found, they burnt them with fire.
Right. You see what they did to our holy scriptures? They tore the books up and they burned them. They burned the laws because they don't want you to follow the commandments. They want you to follow the laws. They're trying to get you to forget so that everything that you begin to learn will be what they taught you. Okay? So they burned them with fire. Go ahead.
And wheresoever was found with any the book of the testament, or of any consented to the law, the king's commandment was that they should be put to death. Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month.
Right. By what? Their authority. Check it out. Thus did they by their authority, meaning putting you to death. So today, you see modern day lynching, you see police brutality, you see execution and murder by policemen. They have authority to do that. It doesn't matter how many. Remember, they used to take pictures for the camera. See somebody being crucified, or you see somebody being hung, burned by the stake, they will actually be standing there taking pictures. Their wives and their children. Telling them, look, that's a nigger. This is what you do to niggas. This is what we do to niggers. That's why you Israelites that's out there, you trying to deal with them, you're going to get yourself burned by the stake, man. Because you were never supposed to deal with these people. And those of you that have dealt with them in ignorance when you didn't know, you just have to repent. That's all. You have to repent. Repentance is to acknowledge something and to forsake it. Repentance ain't to acknowledge it's wrong, but stay in a relationship. Go to Proverbs 28, since we're saying it. There's two parts to it. Proverbs 28. And verse 13.
This is Proverbs chapter 28 and verse 13. He that covered his sins shall not prosper.
Right. He that covereth his sins. How is it that you cover your sins? About making excuses for them. That's a new level. I got myself covered. Huh? You gonna cover your sins? If you hide your sins, because most people don't hide the sins. Some people, they declare it like Sodom. So either you can hide them. Now it's a different way you cover your sins. Okay, you try and, man, make reason, justify your sin. You can't justify your sin. You can't hide your sin, justify it, hide it, or justify it. You ain't gonna prosper. You have a lack of success. Read the next part though.
But whoso confesseth and forsaketh them shall have mercy.
But whosoever confess. So to confess is to acknowledge that I'm in transgression of this law. Everybody understand that? You have to acknowledge that you are in transgression of that law. What law are we referring to? The law that tells you, like in Deuteronomy 7, 1 Kings 11, Ezra the 10th chapter, that you can't have the other nations as husbands and wives. So when you see this, when you hear this, and I'm hearing that brothers and sisters out there is telling one another, you hooked up with the Gentiles, that, well, that's mad confusion. Riddle me this. You make it. Yahweh shall come with the holy angels, and they come for slaughter. What's going to happen with your Gentile? They don't get to live in the mansions with you. All Gentiles, nations, are going into captivity. So you're going to have a woman that lives in captivity, that's out under another man and his plantation, getting whooped. It doesn't make sense. If you are married to a Gentile, you must put that Gentile away. And you must stop playing games. The Bible says flee fornication. That means run. Run. Flee. Run for your life. Those of you that are taking a chance, you are gambling with your life. Because this Bible doesn't change. You men that are in the act of that fornication, there are Israelite women that has to be married, that need to be married, that's looking for help and stay. And likewise, you sisters, what are you thinking? You're gonna raise the enemy's army. You're gonna build the army for the enemy. If it's good for one sister, just say all sisters in the world, all Israelite women, all 12 tribes, don't take Israelite men and marry Gentiles. How does that sound? Because what one's supposed to do, all supposed to be able to do. Right? Right. So if all the sisters, according to scriptures, they can't do it, but I'm just painting a bad picture for you. What you think gonna happen? You're gonna increase the enemy. Do we finish that? So when you forsake that sin, you gotta cut that woman off. So whoever's teaching you that you can live happily ever after, you're wrong. That's wrong, man. You can't live happily ever after. God gonna judge you based upon that. It's like people have these sins and they're addicted to it. They make excuses. They do the same thing with drugs, smoking of drugs and marijuana. Coca plant come out the earth. Should we be crackers? Should we use crack? Everybody cracked out. Don't pay the bills. You looking like Pookie off New Jack City. Talking about you in the truth. Lips white, fiending. You know, crackheads used to give their car away. Perfect car. Just bring it back to me tomorrow. You in the house smoking crack. Bring it back tomorrow. You don't see your shit for 2 weeks, man. It took your brother and them to come and be like, threaten a little dude to get your car back. I guess we can smoke crack now, because you can smoke crack. What else come out the ground? Heroin? That boy, that dog food, that come out the ground too?
Yeah.
Smoking dog food.
Dog food.
That dog food. What else we can do?
Marijuana.
Oh, it started with that.
It started with
That's
that,
it.
yeah.
That it starts with that.
Yeah.
You can't do none of that stuff though, man. See how it looks when you actually bring it out.
Yeah.
How many of you in here marry a crackhead? You know she's on crack.
Stuff keep coming up missing out the house.
You say stuff what?
Keep coming up missing out the house.
Stuff keep coming up missing out the house.
I know that was sitting right there yesterday.
I was gonna watch a movie.
Man.
We can't watch the movie today.
Yeah. It's sad, but it happened.
Wait a minute. Here's the remote.
Left the remote though.
Oh my goodness. The stuff we come up with is incredible.
Yeah.
Who's thinking for y'all?
Yeah.
Come on, knock it off. All right? This is, see, but some of us, I know we're laughing, but you know, for some people though, it's like, it makes sense to them. It makes sense. Why would I leave my woman? First Maccabees 8. What's the second Maccabees 8? Second 8? First Ezra 8. Not Maccabees. First Ezra 8.
Right. 69
First Ezra 8 and we'll start at 65. We're gonna go up for them.
Okay.
See what they were doing. Show you what Israel was doing when they was trying to get back right with the Most High.
This is First Ezra chapter 8 and verse 65. Moreover, they that were come out of the captivity offered sacrifice unto the Lord God of Israel.
So they dealing with the Most High. That's who the Lord God of Israel is. So they offered sacrifice unto the Heavenly Father. Go ahead.
Even 12 bullocks for all Israel.
One for each tribe. Go ahead.
80 rams.
86 rams, man. Yeah. No. That's 86. 96. 96 rams. That's a whole lot of male sheep. That's a bunch, man. They were very soft. They killed a lot of beasts, man. Trying to make an atonement for their sins. So you don't make an atonement for your sin and go back to the sin. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense. Who's teaching you to do that? Make an atonement for your sin and go back and climb in the same bed. You're going to have to be hurt. But it was you that did that in your ignorance. And we must not forget, most of the time you had somebody in your life telling you, leave that person alone. See that? But you didn't listen. You the one thought that you was going to love her to make it right. And then you open this Bible up and this Bible correction. Now you got to deal with the fact that you are hard-headed. Okay? Now you're going to have to grow up. Okay? Go ahead.
Verse 66. 70 lambs, goats for a peace offering 12, all of them a sacrifice to the Lord. And they delivered the king's commandment unto the king's stewards, and to the governors of
Silosyria
and Phoenice, and they honored the people and the temple of God. Now when these things were done, the rulers came unto me and said.
So they talking to Ezra, the high priest, or the priest, the prophet of God. They talking to Ezra. Ezra in the Bible, Ezra's here, same person. So when after they did all of that, now they come to him. Because they knew he judged right, man. He know right from wrong. And listen to what they said. Go ahead.
The nation of Israel.
The nation of Israel. Go ahead.
The princes.
The high ones, the big dogs, the big wigs. You understand? The royalties. Go ahead.
The priests.
And the priests. You know what I'm saying? The priests are like brothers like what we doing. They teaching that Bible. Go ahead.
And Levites have not put away from them the strange people of the land.
Huh? All the men, jungle fever. Everything that's in the jungle. All different shapes, forms, and fashions of the people. They have not put away from them the strange people of the land. Go ahead.
Nor the pollutions of the Gentiles.
Nor the things that they learned from them. Go ahead.
To wit, of the Canaanites,
Ham,
Hittites,
Ham,
Perizzites,
Ham,
Jebusites,
Ham,
and the Moabites, Egyptians, and Edomites.
So the Asians and Edomites. Okay? Go ahead.
For both they and their sons have married with their daughters.
So the problem was what? Was marriage. And what does marriage come? Emotions, feelings. Oh, you like this? You like this? Oh, we'll do that. Solomon sinned doing that, trying to please women. Okay, because women feel like, hey, you believe this, I believe that. You do what you do, let me do what I want to do. So when you deal with somebody else, their heart is going to change. But see, it's something in this earth now to where these Gentiles are trying to cleave to us, and they trying to be like, I believe in Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. I believe that y'all are the holy people of the Lord. Okay, fine. Believe over there.
Coming peaceful again.
Yeah. Coming peaceful again. Yeah, come in peace. So they, dang. Right, they come in peace, huh? Not knowing they trying to put you in that sunken place, man. And it's what? Yeah, right. They trying to put you down there. They trying to take you brothers out. All right? Go ahead.
And the holy seed is mixed.
And the holy seed is mixed with the unholiness. You can't take the holy seed and mix it with a person of another nation. You cannot take the holy seed and put it in the wrong place. Everybody understand that? Hold that, because we're going to get right back to it. Go to Tobit. You cannot take the holy seed and put it in someplace else. Remember, they took the holy seed and they mixed it. You're not supposed to take the holy seed and plant it in the wrong place. Tobit chapter 4 and 12.
This is Tobit 4 and 12. Beware of all whoredom.
Beware, listen to this. Beware of all whoredom. Where's somebody? We're missing somebody. Beware of all whoredom. Okay? So you don't know that this is going to make you a whore. Like, oh, I'm not a whore. I'm just married to her. peaceful one.
Right.
She's just settled,
Yeah.
humble too. Sweetest pumpkin pie. What's that? Sweet potato pie? Sweetest sweet potato pie. Cause she doing her job. She got you, man. Same thing with you sisters. Sisters want to date these Gentiles. They be just as fine. You know, I could work with him because he listens to me. Satan has got him pulling you down. You understand? A lot of these people, they do Satan's job, man. And Satan's job is to get you. One day I was explaining this to my son. He wasn't struggling with the Gentiles, but just letting them know, you had to have the birds and the bees talk. If I had my sound effect guy, you'd be hearing the little,
right.
the sounds in the background now.
Yeah, no.
Talk about the birds and the bees. Say, listen, man, Satan controlled the birds and the bees too. Yeah, it took him to the scriptures, even showed him a few clips to where people, man, they be manipulated. What's that one movie? Total Recall.
Yeah.
Remember Total Recall? Where it took him and showed him that. Where the woman, he goes to this place to get this implant for a vacation, right? And they, for whatever reason, they put this woman in his life. And she was his wife, and this, that, and the third, and he actually thought that that woman was his wife until the implant, it stopped working. And when it stopped working, he realized that she wasn't his wife when she started trying to kill him. So I'm like, look here, son, this shows you that she was working for some people. So the people had the woman manipulating him, keeping him put. You understand? For whatever reason, I ain't saw the movie in so long. But hey, Satan will work through these Gentiles to get you. Y'all are the ones that think that y'all ain't nothing special, because you measure your life based upon the things that you have. Don't do that. See, the scriptures tell you that a man's life consists of the abundance of the things that he have. See, you measure your life, man, I don't have much money in the bank, therefore you think you ain't nothing. I rent and I don't own my house like them, therefore you think that you're nobody special. Not really realizing that you are, because the Lord called you the greatest people. And he's raising up saviors, man. He's raising up people that are going to return Israel back unto him. And therefore that makes you something special. And in doing so, you have to suffer certain afflictions. You have to come up out of the dirt and out of the mud. You have to come up through hardship. That's the path. That's the job. But at the end, you're going to be rewarded beyond your wildest imagination. And so when these spirits see that, they come after you. They try to get you to commit whoredom, fornication. They try to hook you on dope. They try to hook you on alcohol. They try to get you to be everything but a child of God. And most of you, you go for it. You can't do that. Stop measuring life's worth. When you look at that money, the people that you dislike the most, that picture's on there. But you think that you're everything if you got a bucket full of it. See how that doesn't make much sense? The more that you have, the better you are, but you hate this. You hate this. That doesn't make sense. It would seem like the less of this you have, the better you should feel. Because I ain't got nothing to do with you. It's all on how you think. You got to rearrange the way that you think. The way to survive is to be content. That's how you survive. Be content. Go after the Lord's work and his job. And he gonna know how to take care of you, man. He gonna provide for you. Okay? Because overthinking it and wanting this and wanting that, all you're gonna do is put a bunch of stress on your mind. That's why scripture that they that will be rich will fall into temptation and pierce themselves through with many sorrows.
Right.
A lot of times this person's sorry because I can't do this and I can't do that. I don't have this and I don't have that. All right? So now we're 1 Ezra 8 and 70. For both they and their sons have married with their daughters. All right. So the prince and the sons have married the daughters of all of these nations. Go ahead. Verse 70.
And I'm sorry, verse 70. For they and their sons have married with their daughters, and the holy seed is mixed with the strange people of the land. And from the beginning of this matter, the rulers and the great men have been partakers of this iniquity.
What that word iniquity mean, man? Sin. So you are in sin if you are married. You see that word? That word married is in verse 70. If you are married to an Edomite, a Moabite, an Egyptian, a Jebusite, Perizzite, Hittite, or Canaanite, you are in sin. The only person that you can be married to is an Israelite. I didn't make it up. I'm reading line upon line, man. God didn't change this. If somebody would have come to me and they say, what am I supposed to do? I'm going to tell you that you got to leave her alone. You have to leave. You have to sit down and you have to make plans to go your separate way. You got yourself into it, get yourself out of it. What about my children? Take care of your children. Take care of them. Because the powers that be, they're going to come after you. She going to come after you because she going to feel like, hey, I didn't do this alone, and she didn't do it alone. Or he didn't do it alone. So you have a parental responsibility. But as far as continuing to be in that union, that's a dead mission. That ain't going nowhere. Shall not prosper. It ain't going to prosper. And I don't even got to know your personal business to know that you don't have no success. Differences, arguments. You feel some type of weight deep down inside. Because if the Lord calling you, I already know that you, because I know him. I already know you catching hell. Yep. I already know it ain't right. I can talk to a person and they ain't even got to say a word. All I got to do is know your situation. You ain't even got to give me no inside business because the God in me know you. He know exactly what to say. Most of the time, I like it when you be quiet anyway. Don't even say nothing. God gonna talk to you. You can sit there and listen. That's why I can sit here for hours. Because the God in me can sit here for hours and just tell you about yourself. It's not me. If you leave it up to me, I'd be somewhere with my feet in the air. But him, he will rebuke you all day and all night and tell you what you should be doing. I just hope y'all listening. I'm listening because I'm obedient enough to be here and not go somewhere else when he said, I want you to be here because I got something for you to do. What are you doing? Are you here or are you someplace else? All right. So verse 71, as soon as I heard these things, let's see what he did. Did he say, oh, that's okay, let them be then? Are we gonna make a way? He tore his clothes. Because you cannot bring forth the fruits of repentance without change. And the holy garment. And the garment that he wore that was so special, he ripped it up. And pulled off the hair from off my head. For him to do that to himself, when they found out that he did that, that's supposed to let them know I messed up. Because truly this man is a man of God. He spoke with the angel. What he said went. And buried. And sat me down, sad and very heavy. All right? So now, let's go back. Yeah.
Numbers 25.
And this,
Go ahead.
and it's one of the reasons why Israel ain't keeping the days. 'Cause they too far off following the other nations. All right, that's all. Go ahead.
Right, so, and this is to kind of add to like the brother bringing out how we not to make marriages with them. But you get Israel that try and be slick with wordplay and say, well, I ain't married to him, I'm just having sex with him. You know what I'm saying? So this is Numbers 25 and 1. And Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. And they called the people unto the sacrifices of their gods. And the people did eat, and bowed down to their gods. And Israel joined himself unto Baal Peor, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel. And the Lord said unto Moses, take all the heads of the people, and hang them up before the Lord against the sun, that the first anger of the Lord may be turned away from Israel. And Moses said unto the judges of Israel, slay every one his men that were joined unto Baal Peor. So now Moses is sending the men through to destroy everybody that sacrificed unto the idols of the other nations, the Moabites. Verse 6, and behold, one of the children of Israel came and brought unto his brethren a Midianitish woman in the sight of Moses and in sight of all the congregation of the children of Israel, and were weeping before the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. So here go a brother, after everything that's happened, he went and found a Midianitish woman, and he gonna come and bring her back to his house. Verse 7, and when Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, saw it, he rose up from among the congregation and took a javelin in his hand, and he went after the man of Israel into the tent, and thrust both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman through the belly. So if he thrust both of them through at the same time, what act did they commit?
Fornication.
They deal with it.
Yeah.
So here it is. So for brothers that try and twist the scriptures and say, well, I ain't married unto the nations, but we can lay down and have sex with them. Here's an example of a brother that tried that, and the Most High had him thrust through, him and the woman at the same time.
Right.
So that was just a point, because brothers was trying to say you can still deal with the nations, and even in the kingdom we'll be able to deal with the nations. So that's false. You know, they can't do that. So.
You gotta read the last part.
Right.
The end of last precept of verse 8. So the plague was stayed from the children of Israel.
Right. So that was the only thing that stopped the Most High from doing what? What was the plague? Them being hung.
Right.
Yeah. The leaders began to hang the men. Right. That was the only thing that made the Most High put a spirit on them to stop the killing. Because then when you read the next, it says, and those that died in the plague were 24,000. That's a lot of dead people. A lot of dead people. So all of those people were what? In mixed marriages.
Right.
So the Lord is not playing. Do not let these Israelites out here with their spirit of fornication fool and deceive you, man.
That's right.
That grafted in wickedness, that's not even talking about the other nations. That's talking about our brethren. It's not talking about the other nations. What is that?
Yeah, let's jump up to verse 2, because the brother brought the point out about the fornication of laying down and sleeping with them. But even when you come together with a union with them, what would they cause you to do? And it's something that he mentioned earlier about Solomon. It's something that Solomon fell into with having the women of the other nations as being wives. So verse 2 it says, and they called the people unto the sacrifices of their gods. So on top of them sleeping with them, what was they doing? They was heavy in idolatry. You know what I'm saying? By dealing with the other nations, they were serving their gods. So that was also a reason why what? The Most High was hanging them and was destroying them like that. Because they was going too far. They was going way too far off into the ways of the heathen. And it caused all the other people what? To do the same thing. So it said, and the people did eat and bowed down to their gods. So they weren't serving the Most High at all because of these women of the other nations, or because of these marriages with the heathen.
Okay. First Maccabees 1. Go back there. So First Maccabees chapter 1 and 59.
First Maccabees 1 and 59. Now the 5 and 20th day of the month they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of God. At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had their children to be circumcised. And they hanged the infants about their necks, and rifled their houses, and slew them that had circumcised them.
Right. So during times of war, don't be afraid, because they actually did this. They hung our children. They hung the infants by their neck. Let's see, is there any infants in? Oh Lord. Infants is little bitty babies. Just put it someplace else. You know what I mean? Infants is little bitty babies. So how do you think the woman feels? How you think the man feels? How you think we felt? And we felt terrible. These people was doing that to us. And rifled the houses, that meaning they just stormed straight into the place and killed them. That was keeping the commandments. Okay? Howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing. So you actually did have people that was still coming up keeping the laws. That's how we got to be. Verse 63, wherefore they chose rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died, and there was a very great wrath upon Israel. So their whole objective was, it doesn't matter how many, go to Matthew 10. It doesn't matter how many people they elected to destroy. They was going to try and make an end of all of this, you keeping the commandments slow. Okay, Matthew chapter 10 and 28.
This is Matthew chapter 10 and verse 28. And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul.
Right, so we see that. Why? Because the Most High of heaven and earth can bring us back to life. This is a level that we have to grow to, we have to believe in. Because of course if somebody coming, you know, and they gonna put you to death, you probably like, it's gonna hurt. Yeah, you know, I got unfinished business, you know. So, but don't fret, it's just, because remember, don't fear him. The Most High can bring us back to life when he's ready. Fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul. So they can't kill your soul. Your spirit, all souls belong to the Lord. All right, go ahead.
But rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell.
All right. So fear, in other words, fear the Most High. So now let's go back to 1 Maccabees chapter 2.
This is 1 Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 1.
Well, we might jump up. 2 and yeah, 2 and 21.
This is 1 Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 21. God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. We will not hearken to the king's words, to go from our religion, either on the right hand or the left. Now when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar which was at Modin, according to the king's commandment. Which thing, when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled. Neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment.
Right, because remember, he's seeing somebody come to sacrifice upon top of the altar that these Greeks had set up. Okay, go ahead.
Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. Also the king's commissioner, who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time, and the altar he pulled down.
Go ahead.
Thus dealt he zealously for the law of God, like as Phinehas did unto Zambri the son of Salom. And Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, Whosoever is zealous of the law, and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me. So he and his sons fled into the mountains, and left all that ever they had in the city. Then many that sought after justice and judgment went down into the wilderness to dwell there, both they and their children, and their wives, and their cattle.
So, in other words, they had to leave what we will call what would we call this? The city limits, civilization. Yeah. Because inside of their own city, that's where their livestock was, their water supply, their food supply, their clothes. That's where all the things were. But they went down into the wilderness to dwell. When they went down there, into there, They didn't have the same amenities that they had, that they were able to just go readily and do. So, something to think about. If push ever come to shove, and you have to, now see, here's the thing, just briefly. Times are advanced rapidly. So, we have to be wiser, we have to be smarter. I think, and it all starts with obedience, to the commandments. Because obedience to the commandments, the Most High He can deliver you and do some amazing things. When Daniel got delivered in the den, the angel didn't catch a bus or ride a horse up into the thing, He pretty was there. When the 3 holy children was, when they were in the fiery furnace, He delivered them. Nobody, he didn't have to get a ticket or nothing like that. Whenever the Most High is going to do His thing, trust and believe, He has the power to do it. Our job is to present one another worthy for that deliverance. Do we understand that? So don't knock us for always going through the laws and always reproving us and making us better and making us see things the way that we're supposed to see it according to the scriptures, and holding you accountable. Holding me accountable is all knowledge. Holding you accountable is what's gonna save you behind. You understand? Okay. So, I was saying that these times they so moderate, and just you have city limits for miles. So things, we don't know how things will be, but I'm sure they will be difficult. There are armed forces and cameras and all of that military presence. So we definitely will be seeking divine intervention. I know I will. Definitely. We doing this, we definitely looking for you. Talking about the Father, we definitely looking and waiting for your help. But if it come point to when, you have to walk away from stuff and not look back. Because looking back, you ain't gonna get it. You're gonna get caught. Going back to grab something, you got grabbed. Remember, houses were rifled. Their infants were hanged. So this is in the house, baby, that's gone. You can't get that. This is a new era. We got to move forward. We got to keep going. So, if it's something like that in our life, in our time, ever come up, be ready to tie your shoes up and keep moving. Because the point I'm stressing is, you might not be able to go where you want to go. And you're going to have to move off faith. These people, they left and they went down and they went into the wilderness. They went off faith. They had to do what they had to do. And they wasn't attached to their carnal and worldly possessions to the point to where they I can't leave. I can't leave this. This is my car. This is my house. Do you know how many people said that? This is my house. And lost it. Just imagine your brothers. They lost the whole country. They was like, this is our country. This is our land. They lost their land. They lost their cattle. They lost their coal, their gold, their silver, their trees, their buffalo. They lost everything. So keep that in mind. Okay? So now, verse 30, both they and their children and wives and their cattle, see that? And their cattle, because afflictions increase so upon them. Well, they took stuff with them, Salaki, so I don't want to get you mixed up with that. So they went down into the wilderness to dwell there, both they and their children, wives, and cattle. So they took this stuff with them because afflictions increased. So obviously, they had to have a plan to say, we're going to leave this stuff, but this stuff we're going to take. Now, when it was told the king's servants that the host that was at Jerusalem in the city of David, that certain men who had broken the king's commandment was gone down into the secret places in the wilderness, they pursued after them a great number, and having overtaken them, they encamped against them that made war against them on the Sabbath day. So this is a sad time here. And they said unto them, let that which ye have done hitherto suffice. Come forth and do according to the commandment of the king, and you shall live. But they said, we will not come forth, neither will we do the king's commandment to profane the Sabbath day. So then they gave them the battle with all speed, meaning they hurried up. Howbeit they answered them not, neither cast they a stone at them, nor stopped the places wherein they hid, but said, let us die all in our innocency. Heaven and earth shall testify for us that ye put us to death wrongfully. So they rose up against them in battle on the Sabbath, and they slew them with their wives and children, with their cattle, to the number of 1,000 people. Now when Mattathias and his friends understood thereof, they mourned for them right sore. And one of them said to another, if we all do as our brethren have done, and fight not for our lives and laws against the heathen. So remember, man, the Greeks have taken over Jerusalem. And these are the problems that they had that led up to the dedication of the altar. So now they forced them out. They had to go into the wilderness. It's the Sabbath day. They remembering the Sabbath day to keep it holy. They're saying, we're not going to profane the Sabbath, that we're not going to get into no fight. So that shows you that Israel was used to what? Keeping the Sabbath day holy. They wasn't static addicts. They wasn't going to argue with you on the Sabbath day, arguing on the Sabbath day, fighting on the Sabbath day. Confusion on the Sabbath day is unlawful. That's going off. And these people are an example to show you that that's going off. So if you in your little tiny houses, I'm just being humorous about the tiny houses. Some of you got big houses, I know. You got the big old house. But anyway, you fighting this the Sabbath day, that's out of the spirit right there. Not supposed to do that. Okay, so that's a good example right there. But, so they said that we will not fight for our lives against the heathen. We will now quickly root us out of the earth. No, they say, if we do as our brethren have done and fight not for our lives and laws against the heathen, they will quickly root us out of the earth. At that time, therefore, they decreed, saying, now here's a decree from your foreparents. Whosoever come to make battle with us on the Sabbath day, we will kick their butt. We will fight against them. So somebody come against you on the Sabbath day, don't sit up there and get cluckled. Defend yourself. Neither will we all die as our brethren that were murdered in the secret places. So you try, I ain't gonna hit you back. You stand there, and he knocking you out, man. You like, this is Shabbat.
Come back to me.
He knocking you out, man. No, save yourself. Then came there unto him a company of Assyrians, who were mighty men of Israel, even all such as were voluntarily devoted unto the law. So that's a good spirit, to be voluntarily devoted unto the law. Also, all they that fled for persecution joined themselves unto them, and were a stay unto them, meaning were a help. So they joined together to help. So they joined their forces. Y'all see that part there? You Israelites out there, do y'all see that point? Where these people, they joined forces. People fleeing persecution, they joined forces. You can't join forces if you're divided, if you're hating each other. And smote sinful men in their anger, and the wicked men in their wrath. But the rest fled to the heathen for some safety, succor. So those that were afraid, they went to get help. Then Mattathias and his friends went round about and poured down the altars. So the things that the Greeks had set up, they began to destroy them. And what children soever they found within the coast of Israel uncircumcised, those they circumcised valiantly. They persecuted, they pursued also after the proud men, and the work prospered in their hands. And so they recovered the law out of the hand of the Gentiles and out of the hand of kings. Neither suffered they the sinful to triumph. Now, when the time drew nigh that Mattathias should die, he said unto his sons, Man, now have pride and rebuke gotten strength, and the time of destruction and the wrath of indignation. So he's talking about the Greeks. Their head is lifted up. Now therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law, and give your lives for the covenant of your fathers. Call to remembrance the act, what acts our fathers did in their time, meaning in their generation. So think about how your parents were. So shall you receive great honor and an everlasting name. Let's see. Was not Abraham found faithful in temptation, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness? Okay, so he maybe wanted to put himself first and save his son, regardless of what the Lord said. But no, he did what he's supposed to do. Joseph, in the time of his distress, he kept the commandments. The commandment, he could have got, had his booty call with Potiphar's wife, but he didn't. He kept the commandment, and because he kept the commandment, he was made Lord of Egypt. You see, so when he was in distress, he kept that commandment. I'm sure the woman was beautiful. How many of you brothers have fallen prey to beautiful women? Or just the woman, period? You can't do that. You gotta hold on. The Most High knows you brothers are fighting. You keep fighting. It's gonna pan out. Don't let nothing rule over you. You rule it. Rule your spirit. Don't put yourself in a situation to where you open the door for lust and temptation, like gazing and looking and internet surfing and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? Phineas, our father, in being zealous and fervent, obtained the covenant of an everlasting priesthood. Joshua, for fulfilling the word, was made a judge in Israel. Caleb, for bearing witness before the congregation. received the heritage of the land. David, for being merciful, possessed the throne of an everlasting kingdom. Elijah, for being zealous and fervent for the law, was taken up into heaven. Ananias, Azariah, and Mishael, by believing, was saved out of the fire. Daniel, for his innocency, was delivered from the mouth of the lions. And thus consider ye throughout all ages that none that put their trust in him shall be overcome. For not then the words of a sinful man, for his glory shall be dung and worms. Today he shall be lifted up, and tomorrow he shall be not found, because he is returned into his dust, and his thought is come to nothing. Wherefore ye, my sons, be valiant, and show yourselves men in the behalf of the law. For by it ye shall obtain glory. And behold, I know that your brother and Simon is a man of counsel. Give ear unto him always. He shall be a father unto you. As for Judas Maccabeus, he hath been mighty and strong, even from his youth up. Let him be your captain, and fight the battle for the people. Also, take also unto you all those that observe the law, and avenge ye the wrong of your people. Recompense fully the heathen. You see? So because we can't pick up the swords and do what they do, now this Bible is our sword. And our words are as a flame. Okay? So we take up this and avenge the wrong of our people by speaking the truth unto them. It says, recompense fully the heathen, meaning completely pay them back. Look at the Father, what the Father is telling the Son. Fully pay them back and take heed to the commandments of the Lord, meaning everything that you do, stay in the scripture, stay in the spirit. Okay? So he blessed him and was gathered to his fathers, and he died in 146 years, and his sons buried him in the sepulchres of his fathers at Modin. And all Israel made great lamentation. Okay? So we're going to stop it there. So I want to get the communion.
Can I get a precept real quick?
Of course.
Something that we kind of read over and I just kind of waited. Back in the 27th verse. First Maccabees 2:27, and Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, I was going to get another precept first, but I'm just quoting Hebrews 2, where the Most High said we ought to take the more earnest heed, least we let the things that we hear slip. So Mattathias is going to give a very important instruction that some people miss. And the action that come behind it, it was a decree made for us to follow. But if they wouldn't have missed this instruction, this probably wouldn't have happened to them. So 27, it says, and Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, whosoever is zealous of the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me. So he and his sons fled to the mountains and left all that ever they had in the city. Then many that sought after justice and judgment went down where?
Into the wilderness.
But where should they have went?
Follow them to the mountains.
Exactly. So it is true, but these brothers and sisters, they were zealous of the law too. So as we continue to grow, we got to make sure the things that we taught, we don't forget. Because a very important detail actually saved our life. And these brothers and sisters here, if they would have followed, left everything they had, and would have followed Mattathias and them into the mountains, then they wouldn't have died on the Sabbath, being murdered by Esau. Still trying to keep the law, but follow the zeal that the Most High put in Mattathias and say, let's go this direction. They said, well, we keep it the law, but we're going to go into the wilderness. It says, and then not only did they go into the wilderness with their wives, children, and their cattle. So they still was trying to hang on to something that they had in Jerusalem instead of leaving everything that they had and just following the counsel that the Most High just, it says it. It says he being zealous. So the spirit of the Most High was in Mattathias and caused him to do this and then turn right around and say, follow me. So if they would have did that, remembered that instruction, along with still trying to be righteous, keeping the Sabbath day, then they probably would not have been killed. And the decree wouldn't have had to be made with them. They would have been there for the instructions to say, we're going to take onslaught. Now we're going to go back and render back into the heathen what they doing to all the rest of our people, but because they missed that key instruction, they end up being killed. You know, so we got to make sure that as we grow, we remember the things that we taught and remember them to follow them still with the same faith. Because we read in like verse 52 down how Abraham, you know, Joseph, all these brothers moved on faith. So they should have remembered, had the faith that, you know what, these brothers, they know what they're talking about. Let's continue to stay with them. Because sometimes in the truth, we create our own way. You know, and we want to go the direction that seems best for us instead of just staying with the instruction that we give it. And that can be detrimental to us. So that was it.
Right, and it's an example of the righteous doing what? Here's an example. Don't be afraid to answer. Here's an example of the righteous doing what? The righteous making a mistake. Yeah. See, it's two forms. Remember, they sought after justice and judgment. So that's righteousness. Then they, you know, didn't want to profane the Sabbath. That's righteous. But they erred. A lot of you know, you could deal righteously and be thinking righteously, or you could be righteously, but make the wrong decision. And that decision can cost you your life. You know, you go fine. Everybody see that part? Right. Yeah, that most definitely could have been preserved. Don't, in this truth, listen, Israel. In this truth, don't measure wits. Don't measure your mind against the mind of the ones that the Lord said, listen and follow this instruction. Don't measure, because it doesn't roll like that. It's not a competition. We're all obedient, you know, with the same purpose, the same goal. We're all trying to seek the same thing, and we're all working for the same penny at the end of the day. So you don't need to be like, I'm wise too, I'm smart too, I know too, I understand too. I got a way too, but what's wrong with my way? We're not looking for our own personal way. We're looking for the way of the Lord that says it works. So when you measure wits, if this is what they did, look at what happened. So they hit that fork in the road, they got killed. And the ones that went the other way, they was like, dang. When they heard about that, they all mourned. They were very sad. And you know they was like, they should have been with us. If they would have been with us, then man, that wouldn't happen. Plus they would have had these brothers that was there. Ruthless.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have had some ruthless brothers there. To straight give them the business because they were an adversary to these Greeks. Okay? So that's it. We'll pick it up on the Sabbath. Matthew chapter 26. Okay, hold Matthew 26 and get Luke 17. Who has to work tomorrow? It's a good turnout. Only just one person. Okay, just this part right here, Luke 17 and verse 5. Luke 17 and 5. You know, to keep the commandments and to believe, to apply a certain way, it takes a certain level of faith. And so you would have to do this here. You have to ask the Most High this. Okay, Luke 17 and 5. Let's see. And the apostles said unto the Lord, increase our faith. You run into situations to where it's hard for you to believe while you living, and you tired. You believe, but you tired. You have to hold on to that same thing that you believe in. And sometimes you might not see any results. That doesn't mean that you're in the wrong. That don't mean that this truth is wrong, whatever. It means that you need a stronger spirit so that you can continue to carry on. So you have to ask the Lord to increase your faith. We need our faith increased to believe in the scriptures. Help me to believe the stuff that I'm reading. Help me to continue to live my life, deny myself, so that I can walk in the precepts, the stuff that's written, looking for a future. Help me to believe in the future as it is written. Increase our faith, increase my faith. You have to ask that. And as you asking the Lord to as you asking the Lord to increase your faith, I lost that video. Camera one is down. No, just hit it. And it's jacked up. Why they doing that? Hold on. Because the word's supposed to turn now. as we're asking, you know, the Lord to be with us, to help us, we gotta ask Him, like I was just saying, to, you know, increase your faith, because, you know, we're reading the scriptures, and the scriptures is asking us to do a lot. It's asking us to do a lot. It's asking us to commit. It's asking us to deny ourselves. And that's a lot. And you're gonna need faith in order to do that. To believe in the holy commandments, to believe in the holy ways, to believe in the high holy days, to believe in the scriptures. Stuff that's written. When we use your imagination to try and figure out how these things transpire, to believe in this, you're gonna need faith. So you gotta ask the Lord to increase your faith. Okay. All right. So that's it. That's all I, wanted to say, because I know that, when we read this, and the scriptures is, prophesying about our future and stuff like that, and in order to, survive and want to, even to imagine these things happen, we need faith to do it. What will I do? Is this gonna happen? You need faith. The stronger the faith, the stronger the preacher. All right. So, any questions from y'all brothers? All right. It's Matthew chapter 26.
Shit. When you said the stronger, but you said stronger what after that?
Oh yeah. The stronger the faith, the stronger the preacher. Right. Because like you brothers, if you have very little faith, what type of spirit does a person with very little faith have? A spirit of doubt, brother. Right, so if you have little faith, then you're gonna be doubting. You ain't gonna believe. You ain't gonna believe in the Lord. You won't believe that He will help you, He will provide and do things, etc., etc. We're talking about Ecclesiastes 2. As far as faith, you gotta ask for it. Yeah, faith you gotta ask for it. You gotta ask for more faith. Scripture, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask. So you gotta ask the Most High for wisdom, knowledge, understanding, for faith. So here's Ecclesiastes chapter 2. Ecclesiastes chapter 2 and 6, it says, believe in him, and he will help thee. So ask the Most High to increase your faith. Ecclesiastes 2 and 6. Order thy way aright. So why you asking the Lord to increase your faith? When it says order, that means demand. Demand, command, instruct. Right?
Yes, sir.
Construct yourself. Instruct yourself. Command yourself. Say, self, don't do this anymore. And then don't do it no more. Order your way the right way. Because when you do that, that's going to make the Most High get off your arm. Put your face in the book. That's going to make the Most High deal with you some more. You ordering your way right, he going to deal with you some more. You ordering your way right, he going to deal with you some more. Okay? So we have Ecclesiastes chapter 2 and 6. And then trust in him. Because he's going to deal with you some more. Everybody understand that?
Yes, sir.
But if you're not ordering your way right, you're going to be asking the Lord to help you, but he's not going to help you. He'll turn away from you. Before you could believe in all these things that that we're reading about, that takes faith to believe in this history. I don't even want to call it a story. This history. Because some amazing things you're going to learn as we go through the details and the history of this. It's some amazing stuff that you're going to begin to hear, man. I'm like, is that true? When you see how the Lord delivered Israel, man, you're going to be like, dang, man, is that true? When he going to do us? That's why you got to keep these commandments and build your faith up so that you can endure. So that when that deliverance comes, if it's his will, you able to see it, man, with bodily eyes. And you got to have the faith. Have the faith that he can do it. And that he will do it because it's wrote in the scriptures. But you got to do a lot more than just believing, because faith without works is dead. Dead meaning you ain't doing nothing positive. You're not powered up. It's no energy. It's a dead battery. These batteries are dead. Doesn't work. God is saying you're not working. You think you're working, but you're not working. Yeah, you have faith with no works. And you have no works because you have little faith. Oh, you have little faith. Oh, you have some. You believe a portion, but you don't believe past what you can see. You don't believe past what you know. You don't believe past what you understand. You don't believe in the unseen and the unknown, which justifies faith. And in that case and situation, most of the faith is based upon oppression. You trust in oppression. Sometimes people just want to belong to something, but they trust in oppression. When you believe in God, you gotta tell yourself what to do. Do it.
That's right.
You gotta
you gotta order yourself aright and trust in him. Verse 7, Ecclesiastes 2:7, ye that fear the Lord, wait. So you got to have the spirit of waiting, also known as what? Long suffering. You got to be able to suffer, because when you wait, hey, you can't tell me. A child waiting for an ice cream cone is suffering. Like, I'm waiting. I want it now. This line is too long. You understand? You get behind somebody in the grocery store, they got all of that stuff in that basket. You like, man, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna drive. You so impatient, you would drive 5 or 6 minutes to another grocer when you could have stood 5 minutes there because you have no patience. You cannot wait. You have to have the spirit being able to suffer long. Ye that fear him, wait for his mercy, wait for his deliverance, and go not aside, lest you fall. Don't go to the left, don't go to the right. Don't turn after your mind, don't turn after the mind of a friend. Don't turn after the world, or you're gonna fall. You're gonna fall away from what? The faith that you have. You're gonna fall away from the thing that you once believed in. Verse 8, ye that fear the Lord, believe in him, and your reward shall not fail. Ye that fear the Lord, hope for good and for everlasting joy and mercy. Meaning, hey, the outcome is gonna be what you imagine and more. Look at the generations of old. That's what we're doing. Looking at the generations of old. You looking in the books, huh? Look at the generations of old and see. Okay? Did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded? No. Or did any abide in his fear and was what? Forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? That's why I took you to the scriptures that told you, hey, ask the Lord to increase your faith so that you can believe these scriptures. And that if it come a day and a time to when you have got to ask the Most High to deliver you, show you what to do, that your faith and trust will stay in the Lord and not in yourself. And you will be moving off what the Most High tell you to do and not move off of fear. Okay, bear with me. We almost there. Verse 13 is our point. Woe unto him that is what? Faint-hearted. Faint-hearted meaning he gave up. So he lost a little faith that he had, because faint-hearted meaning he got tired, for he believeth not. So we got to always ask the Lord to increase our faith. Right?
That's right.
So you going to come out the abundance of your heart. If you got faith, you got more faith, you going to preach hard. And you going to preach out of the faith. But if you faint-hearted and you have given up and you don't believe, you ain't going to say nothing. Your mouth going to be stopped up because you don't believe. I deal with both kinds. I see people that do believe and people that don't believe. And the people that don't believe, they be in sin. And I flat out tell them, you in the midst of sin. I could laugh and joke all day, but when you going off, you in the midst of sin, you need to repent. And they know through the Spirit, because it's God talking to them exactly what sins you in. That's why you talking like that. That's why you don't believe. Because you falling aside. I like to tell people, you're not lukewarm, you in the world. Tell me you think, oh, I'm straddling the fence. Oh, you is capable of being in both. You in the world and in the truth. Damn. You got the best of both worlds, huh? That's what you think I think? You think I think that? You are in the world, brother. Yeah. You understand? You're in the world. The truth is far from the situation. Now, I can help you get in this truth through the Spirit of Christ. I can show you. Although it's Hamashiach Yahweh that's got to open it up, usher you in, but at least I can help you. But for this stuff that you thinking that I'm in both of them. I know, bro, let me set it straight. You're on this side. You're on this side. In order to be in this truth, you have to apply. You have to acknowledge all of these things are wrong. Go ahead and openly say it. Get it out. Say you're wrong. Say it's wrong. Tell it to your God. You mean you have to humble yourself to me. I'm not him. I'm your brother. Confess it to him. Because every idle word that you say, you're going to have to give an account of. When you say you're going to do something, you best do it. Because guess what had happened? God had wrote it down. He said, hey, he said he gonna do this. Bing. And if you don't do it, he gonna be required of it because you said you was gonna do it. You're gonna have to give an account of it. So stuff that we have problems with, Matthew 26, ask the Lord to help us, man, help increase our faith. Now when Yahushua, whom the word calls Jesus, was in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, I think that froze, brother. Just exit out and start again. There came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat, the top right corner.